Oh, I guess.
So Mitch, what do you do to avoid all the distractions? Patrick was telling us how he got all the tickets, all the hotel, all the family obligations settled, so he could just concentrate on football. How are you handling all this?
The same. I mean, all that stuff was due at noon today, so we don't really have the ability to change it from now. So I don't know if that works for every team, but coach is big on eliminating distractions, and the way they set it up is for us to do all that, get it out of the way, and then from here, I mean, it's just football.
Team Ford, obviously you've gone against them in the past. How much of an advantage is that for having practiced against them over the years?
I mean, it is and it isn't. I've only faced him once in real action, but that was when he was a lot younger, and he's a much different player and pass rusher now. So, I think you have a feel for guys obviously going against them every day, but it's a lot different when it's kind of live bullets. And I mean, we all know he brings it, so it's going to be a tough matchup.
When you see the film, what do you?
Turned the page and started watching film and kind of going through your process to get prepared for the match.
I mean, essentially the next day, I mean, we came in and had meetings and kind of moved forward to the Super Bowl and figuring out the logistics and figuring stuff out and working through all the things that obviously the earlier you can get through logistics stuff, the better, and then you can get to football. So really just after that, the first night, it's kind of back to normal.
Mitch, when you look at the game film and what you saw Sunday night, what's your first impression of Nick Bosa?
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. I think, we all know that. I imagine he wins Defensive Rookie of the Year and in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. That's how good he's playing. So you see a guy that's really well-rounded. I know from experience having your brother, kind of being ahead of you and doing it, you have a better feel for what to expect, what not to expect, kind of the way things go. You're just a little more comfortable. You have someone you can ask questions to. Obviously, they combine that with pretty insane athletic ability, and then also, I think the thing that makes both of them good is they got all the physical traits, but they're also extremely skilled too. And so the stuff he does with his hand usage and just understanding leverage, and he's already a really smart player. So it's pretty crazy to be that good that quick.
Mitchell, what would you say makes Patrick compelling as a teammate and leader, sort of his personal traits that connect with you guys?
I'd say that he's just normal. I mean, there's no arrogance or I wouldn't say he has a bad trait. He just seems he's a normal guy. He just happens to be the best in the world at what he does at the most important position in sports. So, it's kind of pretty rare to have, his personality and character for a guy who's that good.
And part of that is that he fits right in with you guys. You're saying that, I guess, in as many words, but I mean, he's one of you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not, oh, that's Pat, and we're over here doing our thing, and there's this weird kind of divide where you don't want to approach him, or he kind of stays by himself. I mean, he's still obviously young, and he seems like a guy who's always going to kind of have useful energy and want to play around and mix it up and do all those things. So, yeah, I mean, he's, like I said, as normal and kind of in the flow of just locker room stuff as anybody.
Mitchell, you always seem so even-keeled, right? I mean, is that the same way out on the field? Is that something that you think is a strength, or are there times that we don't see it, but maybe in the huddle, you're more hammy? A lot of people are like, oh, you got to scream and yell, you got to do these things to play the game at a high level. You're always seemingly cerebral and even-keeled. Is that something that happens all the time, and is that part of your success?
I try to be. I think, especially for tackles, if you get a little too over anxious or too aggressive, I shouldn't say aggressive, but I mean, there have been times where I got to get my hands on him, and you throw yourself at a guy, and he just swims you, and he's by you. So there's an element of kind of patience to everything you do. Obviously, playing with Joe the first 4 years, you learn that as well. There's not as many of those times where you're able to kind of impose your will and just throw your body at people. There's always a lot more space. You always have to be under control. I think also if you get too high or too low, emotionally, that also can throw you off, because if you're playing well, you're going to be thinking you're, playing too well. You're going to be overconfident. You're not going to kind of focus on whatever keys you have in your head to maintain success. And if you're too low, you're just going to go in the tank when you have a bad play or two. So, I think the kind of even keelness helps both in terms of kind of technique stuff and physical, but also the mental aspect of making everything as similar as possible.
Mitch, you talked a little bit about D, and there's been a lot of talk about the
lining up offsides last year in the title game, how close you guys were to the grind to get back here. As players, you know, I guess there's some symmetry to this. He's in the Super Bowl, you guys are in the Super Bowl, you played great. Did you guys blame him when that happened, or is it just kind of like these things happen in football and you just let it go?
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. We scored 0 points in the first half, so if we score any points in the first half, then he's not in that position anyway. So, you know, I think offensively coming out, that's kind of the view we had, is we didn't do enough offensively to score enough points to win the game and to be in a better situation. I mean, there's also a theory. I mean, Brady's a pretty smart quarterback, so you see a flag go up immediately, and he knows it's not necessarily an illegal formation or illegal shift. It's probably defensive offsides, and maybe you take a risk that you wouldn't ordinarily take. So, I mean, we draw guys offsides, which is a little different, but if a quarterback, is aware of a flag, then, they might play a play different as well. So I think there are plenty of opportunities early in the game for us to have done better and not be in that spot. And, I mean, football is never about the one specific play. So I never, put that on him or put any of it on it. Honestly, I mean, that was never a thought.
Mitch, what would you say has enabled Andy to be the successful coach he is, and how might you describe how he connects with you guys in a broad way?
I would say, I mean, he's got obviously great leadership. I mean, no one really brings a team to the Super Bowl without it. And that's in terms of, kind of relating to us, understanding, what we need, what we don't need. There are times where, he's got to be stricter with us, and he's kind of always able to feel the mood and feel how we're rolling and adjust what he has to do off of that. Obviously, as the guy who kind of makes the plays and calls those, we all know that the brilliant offensive mind, and so without that ability, I mean, the offense wouldn't be what it is, which I think also kind of goes into being able to be a leader. I mean, same as understanding, a guy's attitude or your relationship with him personally. He understands kind of that relationship with us in terms of offensive plays and what we can do, what we can't do. So I'd say it's a very similar idea.
You have to dig out of a hole in each of the first two games, and once you guys get it going, you really have it going. Is that, how much of that is back against the wall and everybody maybe raises it up a notch or focuses in or maybe calms down the situation, and how much of it is just getting deeper into Coach Reed's game plan and, being able to get to everything you guys have got prepared?
Yeah, I don't think there's an attitude shift, I would say. I mean, it's not like we're at 85% and, oh no, now we're down 10, now we got to kick it up. He's obviously well known for his first 15, so, for us to go out and not have a good first quarter or not perform well, off the first 15, that probably shows that we're not doing our part, executing what his plays are. So I kind of always go back to that first. Are we blocking the right guys? Are we blocking them, for long enough? And are we throwing the ball to the right spot? Are we catching it? All those things. If we're executing, I mean, like we've known for 20 years, he's the best first 15 guy in the business. So I'd say the early starts or the lack of early starts are way more on, our inability to execute.
With that, Mitch, going back to the 15 to 20 play script, what's it like when you see it for the first time, and then what's it like in terms of trying to implicate it and execute it the right way, and how does that sort of get you ready for the rest of the game, given what the information you're gathering in those first 15 to 20 plays? Yeah,
I mean, everyone kind of consumes the playbook differently, whether it's, we like these plays, or this is the order of what we're going to do stuff, or, these are the critical situations. Honestly, I try not to focus on any one area too much. I tend to be a little pessimistic in my thinking, so I think of all the things that go wrong, and harping on those for the plays to start the game isn't very good for me. So I kind of just take things as they come. When the play is called in the huddle, then we go execute it. So I mean, that works for me. I mean, some guys like to study everything over and over and over and just see it all, in their head. I mean, I'm more of like a pregame visualization, so that's kind of my process to, you see yourself doing the right things on the right plays, and that's just kind of a general game plan thing. It's not specific to any, critical situations.
Mitch, on the broadcast Sunday, the announcers were talking about Andy's genius as an offensive mind, but then they said that he sees the game through an offensive lineman's view. What does that mean?
Well, I think he understands, how we have to, go about things. It's easy to, say, all right, let's go 5 wides, let's throw the ball downfield and do all the downfield stuff that usually relies on us holding up in protection for a while. And so there's obviously an element that, he does have to help us out from an O-line perspective. And so if you are going to have an offense that stretches the field that's vertically even with the speed that we have, the guys up front have to protect, as we talked about. This upcoming group's pretty good up front. So, understanding that you can't just say, hey, go block these guys for 5 seconds every play. So I think that's the biggest thing, but, I think just his understanding of space and, really understanding coverage. Most guys kind of look at a play, oh, that looks good, let's do that. He understands that play worked because this coverage and this guy did that and that guy did this, and we can do this a little different and exploit it, and it's pretty awesome.
Think you're gonna coach one day?
Probably not, honestly. They work pretty long hours, and a lot of coaches tell you if you can, don't get into it. But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, there's some sort of role to talk about or continue kind of doing football stuff. But I'd prefer to sleep on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights, and those guys don't seem to do much of it. So.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Clear,
Thanks.
Brad.